in, folks. Welcome in. It is Weasel Wednesday. I hope you're ready for some Mouse Guard. Omni, what's happening, buddy?
Hello, everyone. I'm the last Omnitect, your favorite What American, and welcome to Mouse Guard: The Frontier, our every other week tiny adventure with adorable fuzzy protagonists. So let's go through the cast, have them introduce themselves, and we'll do a recap. You guys know the drill. You get persona or fate, depending on what you need. If you give me a good recap and a good one, so that our audience actually knows what fucking happened.
Can I start, or does somebody else want to start? Because I remember more than just the big thing that happened last time.
If you want to, if you wanted to go.
Cool. Sorry, I'm trying to get my character sheet pulled up at the same time. I should probably only do one thing at a time. So the thing that Dukan was up to last session was being up in the tree. He got up to the highest point of the settlement, and him and his party neutralized the guards up in there. And he proceeded to Han Solo it, or rather, telephone Han Solo through Cole. And we kind of interrogated the... they throw glow globes. I forgot their special name.
Globadiers.
No, they're not globadiers.
I approve of your Warcraft, Warhammer reference. One of these is going to the Torch Mouse would be the term.
Torch Mouse, thank you.
Globadier.
Yeah, so we interrogated the Torch Mouse. He was like, "Did you kill my man?" I was like, "No." And then I threatened him by holding him over the thing, and I was like, "We could do this easy way or the hard way." And he was like, "Okay, cool, we'll talk." And then we talked about it, and I told him at the end of our conversation, I revealed my intentions, which were not to break into the Falcon's or Hawk's roost to kill it, but rather to talk with it, because I wanted us to come to an agreement. He sounded like an alright guy. That's it.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. To get yourself a persona or a fate, your call, whichever you'd like. Oh, and also... Let's see. Who's next?
I can go next. So I am playing Sayana, who disguised herself and the rest of her mice as merchants and was able to fairly easily make her way into the city under disguise.
Oh.
There we met some of the owl mice, including a couple of their leaders. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who's been with us. I keep thinking Toby, but I don't think that's right.
Toby Maguire? Yeah. No, you got it right.
You did great in Spider Mouse. Let's see. So that would be Trevor, actually.
Trevor. Okay, I was right with the T.
Omni, thank you for the resub. I love you, buddy. Much love.
Much love,
19
pal.
months.
Bully
It's fucking
Mouse Squire.
crazy. Holy shit.
Right. Mouse pilled, ready to go.
Mouse build.
Okay, so yeah, it was in fact Trevor the Shot Mouse was the one that was with you guys.
I don't trust him.
Yes. So, anyway, he was our escort and kind of watching over us as we hung out in the marketplace, making it look like we're kind of just resting up after our travel there, getting some grub. And after seeing how hospitable and nice and friendly these mice actually were, we felt kind of bad about coming here with the initial intention of causing havoc and some massive destructive distraction in order to give Dukan the opportunity to find their leader, the top leaders, and take them out. So instead, we decided to create a nice distraction by making some flatbread and set up next to a merchant who was giving away cider for free that was about to go bad. So we're able to successfully draw in a large crowd. While that was going on, Sayana slipped off to talk to Trevor and get some more information about the Falcon. It's a Falcon, right? Okay, the
So-
falcon.
It's a red-shouldered hawk, but yes,
Okay.
it's a raptor. Yeah, falls in that category.
It says caw.
The
Very good, Derek.
Stop interrupting me, Derek, please.
I'm sorry.
So Sayana spoke to Trevor about the hawk and learned that it's actually pretty decent ruler as far as predators go. Doesn't really eat any of the mice in the city unless they're just bad mice that need to be disposed of. So Sayana doesn't feel too bad about that, although she admits it's a pretty grisly demise. And unfortunately, the hawk is bound under some type of contract or word to the owls. And even though he's nice to his mice, there's not much he can do about the owls wreaking havoc everywhere else. So that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, that was fantastic. Definitely. Persona and Fate, your choice. Also, on top of that, since we did mention the red-shouldered hawk, I did want to mention also a fun fact. While it's a close cousin of the red-shouldered hawk is what you all hear whenever you see a fucking bald eagle on screen. Because an actual bald eagle doesn't really make too much of an impressive noise. It's kind of just like a low, like, kind of squawking shriek. It's not really a high-pitched one. So that loud seer sound you hear every movie where you see a fucking bald eagle go across the screen, that's actually the cousin of the red-shouldered hawk, the red-tailed hawk. Fun fact. So, Red, what about you, buddy? Hit me up.
Hello. I played Giles. I was about to say something sarcastic, but I can't even. Giles is just who he is. So Giles does not currently know about he does know about the plans about them, like disguising themselves going into the city. Giles, thinking ahead, is going to start the war. Not really. I know I'm making it sound like Giles is like going on the aggro, but right now, there is a patrol coming in his direction towards where his mouse are setting up to knock a freaking tree down, and the last thing he wants to do is give himself away. So, Giles is just like, I'm gonna get them before they get us, because yeah, that's logical. So Giles attacked them with a couple of his beloved soldiers, and they took out most of them. But there is one that is currently on the run, and when we left off, that was the one that I was in hot pursuit of.
Correct.
So Giles' whole thing right now is he's scouting around, getting a look around the city, and he realizes that, the best way to do this is literally just to pick a tree and domino effect it. And they're pretty close to the city, so the idea of knocking down a tree is difficult. Doing it quietly enough, and let alone having a party come out, an unexpected armored group come out there, that's really sus. So Giles automatically assumed they're coming out here looking for us, because that's a fair assumption, because they're heading in their direction. So, eat or be eaten, that type of shit. So Giles doesn't really know what's going on with the politics right now. All he knows is that he's kind of like waiting for a signal. Waiting, quote unquote. He's in hot pursuit of one of these mice.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Take yourself a whichever one you'd like, Persona or Fate.
I have neither of either, so I will take one.
Giles doesn't know it, but he's about to make Dukon commit war crimes.
Hell yeah.
Pretty sure killing people under the banner of Parley is illegal. Do mice have Geneva Conventions?
I'm sure they have some sort of treaty arrangement, but also at the same time, if Star Wars can get away doing it occasionally, and Destiny and Star Trek, and literally every single fucking movie ever I can think of with war, where they're like, we can surrender and appear to be captured, and then break our way free. That's a Geneva
What's a war
Convention.
That is
crime?
literally a violation
It's
of
a
the
horrible
Geneva
war
Convention,
crime. Yeah, that is the reason why people shoot prisoners. Congratulations for contributing to the problem. Anyway, so
It's not against the Geneva Conventions to try to break out once you've been made a prisoner of war, though.
No, that is true. You can absolutely try it. But surrendering and then using that as an opportunity to ambush someone is 100% a
Yep.
fucking war.
Illegal.
Something tells me war crimes are a little picky-choosy.
Nah, it's pretty
Yeah.
ironclad. It just depends on how good you are at covering them up.
Flamethrowers are weapons of war. They tried to make shotguns
Defoliant.
or like, illegal, and then like
They were losing too many men because they were pussies.
Which feels like the perfect.
So Mouse Guard.
This feels like the perfect time to go into Mouse Guard, guys.
Yeah.
So
Point being is there are no war crimes in Mouse Guard. They're just scummy things.
That's pretty accurate.
I don't want to have to kill somebody under the banner of Parley.
So,
I don't think I did.
let's pick up where we left off. Let's start with. I'm going to go with Dukan first. Dukan. First off, Derek, can I get some intense music?
Yes, you certainly may.
Thank you. Beautiful. Perfect. All right. So, last we left off, Dukan was currently on the outside of a tree on the topmost portion of Vinecrawl. The settlement where you're all currently trying to infiltrate and where the Hawk currently is. You had broken into the topmost portion of this massive tree that's part of these little tree cities, and you had knocked out the entirety of the overwatching guards, tied them up, interrogated them, and found out that the only way down is to literally either go on the exterior of the tree and take your chances with the many other shot mice who are engaging in watch activities, or go briefly around the outside of the tree and try to sneak down when there's no one there by getting back in through a window and crawling down the stairs. What were you up to?
I have a third option, and it's really not a good one, but it also seems like the most direct.
Okay.
So small creatures don't really take that much fall damage, right?
To a degree. So you're not wrong. There is a limited amount of fall damage, but you're not quite like ants. It's not like you can make it fall from any height. 2 or 3 stories up, sure, you're fine. This tree is like at least like 80 feet tall. It is big. So you take a jump off of here, there's a not inconsequential chance you will break like a Twix.
Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe different plan. Okay.
I like where your head is at, but you're a little too high for that, even for you.
But in like the Mouse Guard rulebook, is it literally just like, oh yeah, just like real life, small creatures don't really take as much fall damage because they don't weigh as much, or is it literally just like, oh, these are technically like everything's like scaled down like human size?
It doesn't even mention it. Because Mouse Guard is such a rules abstract game in a lot of ways. This is a storytelling thing. What I'm going off of is 1, real life, 2, also the fact that in Mouse Guard, I have seen characters be killed by being thrown off of things or falling off of obstacles. It's a big height, but it has killed them. And so if it happens to a field mouse, it'll absolutely happen to something that's 3 times their weight, which would be the weasel.
So you're saying that Dukan was thinking about doing like an Empire State Penny type thing where he literally just like falls on top of somebody and kills them after reaching terminal velocity? Or like, what are we talking about here?
I was thinking I was going to like land, like maybe pull some acrobatics with my weaselly ass body and like skitter along places to arrest, or maybe not arrest, but suspend my momentum for moments in time and kind of trick that down to where I can maybe line up the perfect shot and jam myself into this guy's window, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It'll all come trickling down.
You could certainly try, but I will warn you that the consequences of failure would be spectacular. So I feel like that is the most gentle wording I can use for this.
I'm not gonna lie, that only makes me want to try it more, but also that would leave my homies up here kind of high and dry. So we'll take the safe route. We will skitter along down backsides, kind of the same way that we came up a little bit, and then move into a more advantageous position along the fungi and whatnot.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then make me a scout roll.
Can do. Is this a Weasley thing? Is this a Weasley thing that I can advocate for plugging my nature in there as well?
Let's see. Well, we'll take a look at your weasel nature. Weasel nature: aggressive, gloating, clever, and burrow stealer.
I'm trying to break into his house. That's kind of burrow stealery, and I think it's kind of clever.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, like, the big thing is you're not necessarily going to break into the hawk's house, because the hawk's house is actually a roost on top of a thing. Right. Think of it as like Rodan perched on top of a skyscraper. It's not really that he lives in the skyscraper so much as it's currently the thing he's sitting on. And same thing here. But there you are going to be at least able to get back into the tree and use that to get closer without observation. So, yeah, I think weasel nature would work for this as a role for clever. Yes.
Sweet. Cool beans.
I will bear that in mind, however, with the difficulty of the check. So let's see what we got. Oh my god. 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 7 successes. I'm not even going to bother an opposing roll. You know what? No. Let's be fair. Nope. Not even close. You're good. So describe to me how you do this, how you achieve this.
Yeah, so Dukan, alongside his weasel counterparts, he like whispers to them,
"This is the part where we are extra quiet."
And we kind of like get down on all fours, and we like literally on all fours skitter around corners and stuff. We're like, one of us like pokes our head around the tree to like look, and like another one like pops up behind him. They like look at each other and like whisper backwards, and then like the first one like shoots out like a danger noodle, and it's just like skittering around the place, getting around corners when there's maybe like a patrol of some like guards mice walking by, and we're like in weird positions behind crates and barrels with our long noodly bodies, and we basically just use that that weaselly nature to our advantage, with Tom probably trailing in close behind. Not Tom, Cole. God damn it.
You're good. No worries.
Jimothy and Scrimbly, you know.
Those would be the other. Well, I guess that would be more weasels when we get to them. I'm gonna honestly, Red. I might let you just name most of the non-major characters just out of fun.
That's my job. That's what I'm here for.
You do manage to scramble down pretty quickly, and with great care and caution, you manage to avoid most of the mouse patrols. There's one part where, like, for a second, it almost looks like, oh, hey, this might be where you get kind of caught, but then you realize there's another window right to the right of them. Sort of go around and just sort of enter on that side. And, yeah, you manage to dodge most of the mice going down. The whole process, for how high up you are, about 10 minutes of skittering and scrambling. And the tree itself, these trees are very tall cypress trees, and their bark practically shreds under your claws. And if you hadn't rolled so high, it would have been a very difficult roll. They're also caked in moss and soaking wet. And so, as you scramble about, thankfully, your grip holds tight, and the weasels and mice with you also manage to really prove their capacity to climb today.
Whole squad.
Eventually, you find yourself all the way at the bottom, or towards the bottommost level of this tree city, and pretty close to where you think Vinecrawl's Bazaar is. What is? And I'll let you purchase however you will. You do not have line of sight to the bazaar yet. You're still inside the tree, but you're pretty sure it's just like on the other side of one of these doors that you are right next to. One of these gates you could open up, and it'll either merge into a terrace overlooking this, or it will be actually ground floor of the bazaar.
So are we in a relatively safe location for the moment?
I'm not going to lie, your positioning is pretty perilous. The closer down you've gone, the closer towards the patrols, the additional guards mice and bonds mice you've gotten, and the more traffic you've encountered. At this point, you're not directly in the path, but it's only a matter of time till someone, just comes through this door or goes nearby to do a thing and stumbles across you.
Okay, so we have to make a movement decision here. If we go into the bazaar, we know that that's where. I don't think Dukan knows that that's where Sienna is, but that's also probably where the most mice are going to be. So that's probably the heaviest security presence that he can think of. Um, Spatially speaking, where am I in relation to the Hawk's Roost? I don't think
So
so.
the Hawk's Roost is literally on top of the bazaar. Think of the bazaar as like a Christmas, as like a. Think of it as like a circus tent, kind of, or like a pavilion that is hung out across this section where there's these two large mushrooms that have literally grown between two trees, clearly cultivated and reinforced with twigs and that kind of thing and wood. And over the top of it is this lovely little covered area. And on top of that, above the covered area, is one long interlaced twig. And that stick is where the hawk is sitting. Literally on top. Like if this was a parrot cage, he's on the top of the parrot cage. And the rest of this would be the cage itself.
Well, that would be mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. I'd be walking straight up into his crib. So I want to sneak into the Great Bazaar.
All right. Okay, then. For this one, I'm not going to let you use your weasel nature for this. There's
Okay.
clever, and then there's nakedly
Brazen.
using. Yeah, this is pretty brazen. Like you are engaging in what would be considered pretty risky because this is pretty risky. You're trying to sneak in. So I'm going to say that looking at this, Tucon, you're right here. All right. This is going to take a scout roll. This is
Okay.
absolutely a scout roll.
Whoop.
Nice. Okay. And now I flip over
It
to
keeps
here.
going.
It does. Ooh, very nice. Very nice. That's pretty good. So that's
Nope.
so that's
One
five successes, I believe.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No traitors.
Okay. So, Sienna, you can make me a scouting roll now. I feel like this is appropriate.
Okay. Scouts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Double success. I told you the dice are on my side
For
tonight.
now.
All right. And I go over here, and I'm gonna do here. Okay, so
Natalie's dice rolls. Giles sneaking in to mess them up.
what the fuck is that?
Are those explosions? Those 11s?
I genuinely can't tell. That's the weirdest shit. Separate. Let's just do that. There we go. Okay. So that tells me pretty clearly what's going on with there. All right, cool. So, Sienna, from where you are, you're currently still in the bazaar, as I recall, and you had just finished talking with one of the. You just finished talking with Trevor, I believe. And so, after you had stopped talking with Trevor and started walking back, you see on the other side of the bazaar, like literally on the other tree side, a door open, and the unmistakable silhouette of a weasel. Like, there's no way it's not a fucking weasel. And you recognize the silhouette. There's only one weasel running around wearing a snake hat. Like, just putting that out there. So far, no one else seems to notice. And the hawk is currently busy chatting with a number of his advisors and seems to be having a grand old time not paying attention.
The area that I see the weasel sneak into, does it look like an area where would it be weird if Sienna went down there? Or does it seem somewhere kind of cut off to the general public?
No. It's pretty open to get to where that would be. This is literally the open bazaar level. So it's like seeing someone come out of a Macy's on the other side of the mall. Like, it's a pretty easy straight walk across. That's the best comparison I have for this. This
That
is
was
like
a
a mall.
perfect rep. That was a perfect. I knew exactly what you meant when you said that. I was like, yep.
Yeah. I feel bad because there's a not small number of people out there who will never know what we're fucking talking about.
They're not
Bro,
missing
I
much.
was Macy's was closed before I was born. You believe that?
There's Macy's open here.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just bullshitting.
I was like, maybe
God
your
damn it,
Macy's closed
Red.
down, but there's one at
I'm just
mine.
trying to make y'all feel ancient.
That's fair. All right, so I leave this in Sienna and Dukan's hands. Sienna, what are you doing?
I'm going to go back over to the little station I set up for the flatbread, quickly grab a couple pieces, cut them up into bite-sized pieces, and put them on a tray or some type of plate or something. I start going down there looking as if I'm giving free samples and directing as much of whoever's hanging over there to go, please get some free flatbread from our stall.
Ooh, clever. Clever. All right. So that seems like a really intelligent method of like getting everyone out of here. So I'm gonna have you make me as I readjust my many tabs over here. Finding out that I could double click on these and that they just disappear is such a fucking godsend. Okay.
I was thinking Persuader would be a good role.
Persuader would be. But in this instance, you're not just persuading, you're actively deceiving people. You're trying to manipulate them to go to do something. So I'm going to make you make a deceiver roll. I know, I can tell. That's a pretty low one for you, but we're going to do that, I think.
She's not really lying about anything.
She's literally
It's
trying
dice
to
are on my
manipulate
side.
people to do a thing. So I feel like
I
that is
mean, it's
You
kind
can
of what
persuade people to do
persuade
something
is,
as well,
you
like
know?
without being a liar. about
true,
it.
but there's a
Believe me,
difference
I
know
between
rolled a
in real life.
persuading
5,
someone.
so
Yeah.
I rolled a 5, so it's all good.
Yeah, no, you did more than
Okay.
six. Yeah, that's more than enough, I would say. So that is a success. Chalk that up there. Besides, if we don't use these low skills, you never get them high. And then I come and hammer you with them in moments like this, and you all go, oh shit. And I go, yes. So you did manage to, as you do this, you sort of walk around, and a number of them are like, oh, that's delicious. Wonderful. And they all start like migrating down towards where your stand is. It gets even busier. And after you've sort of cleared the area out a little bit, Dukan, you very clearly see a commotion going on. It appears to be a very busy marketplace, and a very recognizable small mouse walking towards you.
I will gesture with my snoot to like an alley where we're out of sight.
I sneak into the alley, making it look like, oh, is there anyone down here looking for some delicious
There's an
food?
area between two stands where they're big enough and close enough, and they're currently abandoned, where, like, yeah, you could easily fit into that alcove. Like, okay, not easily. Dukan, it's tight for you. You're a fucking weasel, but it's manageable. The other ones have sort of, like, sprawl into the actual, like, into the stands and under where people would look. And they're all just kind of sitting there, like, crouched down, trying to splinter cell or, like, solid snake their way past that.
Is Cole just like standing there, totally chill?
Cole is actually, like, he's kind of squatted down, and the reason why he's squatted down with the rest of them is because he's pretty heavily armed.
Oh
as
yeah, that's
are
fair.
all of you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We did
So-
come here to kill a fucking bird.
Yeah, you're all basically clad like a fucking strike team. It's one thing
Yeah.
to be like, oh yeah, that person's just vibing over there in the major hangout spot, the little circle. It's another when they're all hanging out with fucking AKs and full body armor. Like that would imply a concern. So I leave this in your capable hands. At the moment, no one seems to have noticed either of you two.
I can't stay for long. I don't want to draw attention. What are you
Plans
doing?
have changed.
Jesus Christ, my throat.
I agree. These mice seem to have a good life, despite being under this predator's rule. I don't think it would be wise to dispatch of their leader at this moment.
Dukan also believes that their leader seems an honorable sort. A more worthy adversary than ally, but an ally would be better.
I agree. Although I'm not sure how we would persuade him of that. Is that why you're here? You don't intend to kill him?
I'm just not going to do the voice tonight, guys. I'm sorry.
Dude, it's all right, man. I can
It's
hear
okay.
it's roughing you up.
Sorry, I got allergies and I'm out of allergy meds. I think the best thing for us to do is announce ourselves to him. Just kind of like, hey, we're not here to start any problems. Although I'm proving to you now that if I wanted to, I could have. And I think that game respect game. You know what I'm saying? Like power respects power. And I know he doesn't like what's going on. I know that the mice around him don't like what's going on. So we should get them all on our side and give him the ultimatum here in front of his people. Does he choose his people or does he choose his overlord? That's what I think.
I agree, although I request that you don't reveal that any of your mouse allies are in the city until we know how he feels about it. I'll obviously put two and two together that the new merchants in town are the same mice that you speak of if you say that you brought some with you.
We were told that Giles's forces are going to be reinforcing us, right?
Yes, you were told that he's eventually going to be on the way. Like, he will be the next one. He's technically will be considered the stern guard.
Then Dukan would like to rely on the old adage of the hatchet and the treasure. The treasure is that if the treasure is the friends we made along the way, and he can be one of those friends. The hatchet is the force of warriors that are waiting on bated breath that we will be forced to dispatch upon his city if he does not comply with our request, because that is proving to us and to his people that he does not value them more than he values his word to the owls. Like your honor or your people. Which is a really tight spot to put somebody in. I recognize that, and he's probably not going to take it very well. But I think it's the best play that we've got.
I kind of lost. I didn't get part of that. Your analogy about the stuff at the beginning.
Carrot and stick, basically.
Carrot and stick, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Do as you will. Just like I said, don't mention any mice are in the city yet.
You all brought arms, right?
Of course, but we're currently surrounded by all their guards and a large amount of their population.
Keep them close. And Dukan is going to slink away down the alley to where he can maneuver out into a more central square. I know, Sayana has to get back.
That's fair. Like, where you are, so the good thing with it, or I should say, the difficult thing with this, is that this is basically just one long boardwalk style situation made out of fungus and twigs. And so it doesn't really fork off in other directions. The best you guys have been able to do is find the sides where some of the shops are, like pressed right up against the edge. So as you go further towards the back, you just see drop off. But you can kind of finagle your way through a couple of these stands to sort of get a little bit further forward before you can start actively really sneaking in.
Okay.
Just to make sure you understand, like, the geography of where you're basically on a giant rectangle, more or less. So,
Got it.
Okay. I
Well,
feel this is a great
yeah.
moment to cut over to where Red is. Red. Giles, you've been pursuing one escapee mouse, one of these bonds mice that you engaged in battle with these other Raptorian guard. This bonds mouse is fucking hauling ass away from you guys, as behind you, as you sprint, are not one, not two, but three groaning mice. Well, actually, two groaning mice. One of them is just straight up dead. Taking a dagger to the back of the skull will do that. And also a number of full plate guards in varying levels of anatomical disassembly. And so you're currently chasing after this guy. Derek, can I get slightly more energetic music?
Sure.
Okay. Perfect.
Just like me, for real. Except for once, Giles isn't actually making like war cries or anything like that because he's trying to not. He's acting in stealth, which is not his forte usually because he's a big red mouse with a purple kilt. But
yeah, no, this would be the Bones Mouse screaming, desperately trying to get help where he can. As he's just being chased by this horde of Wolframite mice, all of whom are clad in kilts with broadswords and just utterly fucking tearing ass after this one mouse. Right now, Jeffrey and Janet are both flanking you. Arabelle is right behind you. Like, she's got the banner lowered, but her blade out. And you are all just chasing after this guy. So, how are you going to go about stopping him? Because he has got a little bit of a head start on you.
Well, Giles left his sword behind, mostly because it got stuck. And when you get a piece of metal stuck in another piece of metal, it's kind of hard to pull it out, especially when there's a bunch of like bones and tissue in the way. So Giles was like, as he was running, he picked up one of the knives that was thrown, and he's literally just trying to get a good line of sight on this mouse. Like if they get into like a what's what I'm looking for, like a game trail, like you're trying to get him like a nice open spot. Giles is like running really low to the ground, and he's got the knife between his thumb and finger, and he's just like waiting for a good opening to throw this because he can't waste this opportunity because there is a chance that this mouse is a bit faster than him, and he's not going to take that.
It's all but guaranteed he is. The Bones Mouse is wearing little more than a cloak and a belt with a dagger and a crossbow on it. Compared to the heavier metal weaponry that you were carrying, and granted now, even without that, the scabbard alone that your dude is carrying is pretty fucking hefty. You're a little bit more.
He doesn't carry a scabbard. He's old school, literally over the shoulder.
Oh, literally over. Okay, that's the case.
Like, actual Zweihander type shit. Like actually, just over. The only thing he's got is his kilt right now and his cloak.
That's fair. Still, if that's the case, then Arabelle and Jeffrey and Janet are falling behind, but you would probably be able to keep pace with this Bones Mouse. You can't quite close the distance though, and this guy is fueled by survival and abject terror, hauling butt away from you towards this settlement. So here's what we're going to be doing, my friend. I'm going to have...
Sorry, go on, please.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Giles used to, like... Giles, his whole thing was he'd kill, like, caterpillars and, like, worms and stuff like that, and he'd take their, like, bloody humors and stuff like that, and he'd boil them down into an oil, and he'd slick himself in them to make himself more aerodynamic.
Oh, I love that.
He's Scottish. That's what they did. That's what the Celts did. They literally would like use like pig's grease to like grease themselves and make themselves run faster, and it did make them more.
I didn't know it was to run faster. I thought it was to make them slippery.
I mean that too.
Can't grapple me.
I mean, say what you will, like, that is the Greco-Roman wrestling thing. Soak yourself in oil. Good luck getting a grip as I break your neck with my bare hands.
Oh, absolutely. And not to mention, Giles isn't just, like, strictly Scottish inspired. Just the Celts in general did that, and they fought the Romans, and they beat the Romans. And the Romans wrote down in their history book that, oh, those savages, we piled them down. There's nothing left. They could not beat the Celts. And the Celts were literally just naked dudes with giant shields and spears. And they were just like, oh, these savages, they don't even wear armor. They're butt naked. Their genitals are hanging in the wind. And it's just like, that sounds like my ancestors.
Speaking of, I'm going to want you to make me an opposed health roll.
Sure.
Because that'll be the best way I can think of for you to try to close the distance with this guy. So the real question is, Red, when you take this shot, I'm going to say automatically, if you don't hit him, then he's just going to win the chase. The
Yeah.
speed he's hauling ass, if you stop to throw, even for a second, you will get one shot, and he will be gone. Other than that, it is an opposed health roll to keep pace with. So
I'm keeping pace, looking for an opportune moment, so I'm not just going to immediately throw.
Alright.
So, health roll. I do have 4 health.
Correct.
Let's roll some d6s.
Okay.
1 success. Not particularly exciting, but
1 success. All right, let's see what our friend rolls, because our friend is a young mouse.
oh my god,
And young mice have a
Whoa,
health
that-
of...
bro,
should be
what?
Yeah,
How,
it's,
how can I even compete with that? That's like
no, it's a health of 6 is what it is,
I
but
can
his,
see
one of them
that.
exploded is what it is.
oh god.
So
I better
right-
take my shot now, or he's getting away. God damn.
I will say that he gets 2 steps. He gets 2 steps away from you. If he gets one further step away from you, he will be uncatchable, and you will have to throw, or you will just not get him.
Yeah,
Right now,
Giles
he's 2
realizes
steps away
that
from you.
now.
Yeah, he is sprinting. this little mouse
He schmoozed.
is like, this is pure adrenaline, run for my life levels of terror. This is the Incredible Hulk is behind me, and I don't want to be one of the dudes who we don't show the mangled body because this is a PG-13 movie. That's the level of terror this mouse feels at the moment, and they are fueling their flight with
Mouse saying
it. The Mouse Olympics.
Giles is just like, god damn it. Like, Giles can move fucking fast for his age and his size, but like the fact that he's being outran, it doesn't hurt his ego. It's literally just like, I expected this. Like, the younger and smaller, they're definitely gonna outpace me, but he's under, he's just like, slipping a ball back. Just like, gotta cut the knife between his fingers, like, I gotta take a shot. So he's gonna, I guess.
This
I guess
would
this
be a
turn.
fighter roll. This would be a fighter roll.
Okay, well.
Get him.
And I'm going to roll a d4 to see how this mouse reacts to your attack roll. Because this is going to be an attack roll versus... This is... For you, if you're throwing a dagger, this is a thrown weapon. This would mean it'd be a maneuver roll. So that's the only way to use a ranged weapon is to maneuver. So in this case... Okay, so this is an attack on his part. So I'm going to say this guy sees you winding up, and he's going to try to grab something and throw it behind him, which means, because of the range difference here, he's going to get to take a swing on you at the same time. So
Okay.
These are independent rolls. So make your roll, and he'll make his.
Could I justify using tough here for, like, literally breaking into a full sprint and then still being able to stop and throw a weapon at full force?
I'd be willing to let you say that, yeah. This is like a huge burst of stamina for you to absolutely haul ass fast enough to gain even a little ground on him, so you can make the toss with like a hair of risk. So if
Especially
you're gonna
with
do this-
Giles' advancing age.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, this is one of the few moments where you get to see, like, when I told you guys when you made your characters, I told a lot of you folks, like, what level of mouse did you want to make? And almost everyone said guard's mouse would be equivalent. And I said, well, you know, tender paws have advantages too. This is one of them. Tender paws absolutely have really high nature, and they have really high health.
Making
So they schmoove. So, buddy, make your roll.
That's
I
4
see.
successes.
All right, versus our friend here, who is making. Okay. Oh, interesting. So for him, it's not that high. Nope. Yeah, really high health stats, really low skill stats at the moment. So this.
I don't think they're going to get any higher.
No, not at all. This Bonds mouse reaches behind, and like as they're sprinting and seeing you just like still trying to get closer, they take the opportunity to grab what appears to be like a twig and break it off to throw it behind them like a spear. But you make your throw, and Giles, are you aiming to kill or are you aiming to disable?
Well, if he's perfectly turning around, I might accidentally hit him in something vital. So
It's
like,
true. You've rolled really high, which is why I'm asking if you were aiming to if you were aiming non-lethally at first or like an extremity. I should say. I shouldn't say non-lethally. There's no such thing as a non-lethal thrown knife. They are all fucking dangerous.
Oh, sure.
But there is a difference between I'm aiming to hit you in a leg and I'm aiming for your chest or your back.
See, the problem is Giles has no finesse with weapons he's not familiar with. He is a martial mouse, but he doesn't use weapons this small typically, and he seldom ever throws weapons. That's stuff for guerrilla warfare, and he prefers himself for. He's kind of been in the mouse guard long enough to where he's been kind of rusted away at, and he just does like the regimental kind of stuff, not so much guerrilla warfare. So he takes this thing and he calls on his own old guerrilla tactics, and he just throws this thing as hard as he possibly can. No finesse, just pure strength, to the extent where like the handle would do just as much damage as the blade. He has no finesse behind the swing. It's just full like body forward, just like bringing the rest of the body backward to propel more momentum into the swing. I hit him in the chest, the neck, the head, one of those. He's not aiming for an arm or a leg. He is aiming to incapacitate. And if incapacitation means death, so be it.
Okay, so you throw this dagger, and as it spins and twirls, and you can practically watch as it rotates in midair, it catches this mouse with the butt end of it and hits him hard in the temple as he turns around. You hear a crack, and he just goes down with an as he hits the ground.
Giles is the Hound. I just realized he is literally just the Hound. He is a brutal motherfucker. God damn.
Make me
not the kind of person
roll,
that'll cut off
Giles.
some kid's head, but like you know what I mean. Like,
no, I feel you. Make me a scout roll, Giles. And if you don't have scout, then you're gonna have to use nature. But you will be at a -1.
I'll use nature and I'll roll 3d6 as opposed to just the 1 from scout.
Roger that.
No success.
Okay, and on his end. Okay, so as he goes down, you can see that he's not quite dead. He is injured, certainly, and probably critically so. But you can see him like numbly fumbling around in his pouch for something, and you hear this as like the pouch opens and a number of quarrels pour out, and you can see him scrambling to reach one of them, which from what you can see has been carved in a spiral and is hollow through the front of it. And you're not super familiar with things like this, but it is definitely different than the rest and is clearly not made to be shot at someone.
Yeah, I was gonna say Giles is most certainly not an artillerist.
I think Giles is smart enough to put 2 and 2 together, though, and know that if he's reaching for it, it's important. So,
well, Giles is literally just gonna like run up to him and kick him again in the head, wherever the knife connected.
Oof, I'm gonna make another roll.
One of my rat feet. Just
Okay.
Soon it's going to be psionic kicking Giles in the head for his rudeness.
Giles is this close to just being the villain. Like he's aware of it too. That's the fact.
Okay. So the way that this goes is his little. So as you kick him, he just takes it. Really, like it. He takes it square in like the head. And he goes down and just... He's not dead, but he's unconscious. Very clearly. He probably has a fractured skull. He's clearly, like, worn for breath, because even unconscious, he's still panting. He's got labored breathing. His body's trying to catch up with his oxygen supply. And from the way he shudders, he's probably got, like, minor nerve damage. So, he took a hell of a blow. The fact that he's so young is probably the only reason he's alive right now.
Yeah, Giles has seen war. On the battlefield, Giles would know to just send a mouse guard archer to put this guy out of his misery, but Giles is the only one here, so he's considering things. But he's going to pick up this spiraled arrow and examine it, see why it was so important to this mouse in his last casts.
All right. This is an interesting one. I feel like this here would be... I I'll let you make a militarist roll for this.
Okay.
War-wise can be applied if you want. You're going to have a fuckload of dice.
I would
but
very
I'm
much
gonna-
enjoy rolling 12d6s for this.
By all means, go ahead.
I almost want to roll it in the meat space just for fun. Yeah, if you'd be okay with me doing that, I love.
Sure, go
rolling
ahead, buddy. I don't mind.
12d6s.
If you want to have the experience of rolling like a 40k levels amount of dice,
Oh yeah, dude,
I know that
40K
vibe. I
rolls,
know that
so-
energy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Okay, so let me get 12 here.
I used to literally when I was still in Florida, I used to have like a whole serving tray that we had like lined with like a soft leather as a dice tray for when we ran Mouse Guard because there was that many fucking dice involved in the big bag.
4.
Oh shit.
Okay. Okay. Rerolling ones, AP 2. This is strength 8
Strength 8.
versus toughness 3.
Get the
So
fuck out.
looking for 2s.
Felling.
Oh shit! I
Yeah,
just
Felling, you're right.
Okay. Wow, this looks like a lot of successes. Whoa! Wow. Okay. I'm gonna re-roll this one because it fell off the table.
What's the number,
Another
boss?
success. So I'm looking at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 successes.
Nice.
Okay, so you're not super familiar with bushwhacking equipment. That's not really your thing. Yeah, I believe you, buddy. I totally believe you.
No point.
I am long past the I play with people that I need to check dice on. That is not the case. All the games I play on DMDM series, I trust you.
You know, I feel failure is just as interesting. Well, failure is more interesting than success oftentimes.
Agreed. The role you've made.
Yes, sir.
Your character's not particularly familiar with like bushwhacking stuff. That's not your forte. You are, if anything, a pretty direct assault force. You are a vanguard assault force by your design, per se. By the way, your people have organized themselves. You run in and through shock and awe, and honestly, terror tactics combined with really big swords. You kind of do most of your work that way. But what this reminds you of is the few Wolframite hunters that would often serve as auxiliaries and guerrillas around the flanks of your forces, usually serving as an irregular warning system. They really wouldn't participate in battle. They would often serve as an observational force to let you know what's going on. And while they didn't necessarily work with you as much, this is more of a historical thing for Wolfram. What you do recognize is that oftentimes, in order to send out signals without being, made, mice would carry whistles and mimic the sounds of birds. This is a whistle meant to be fired out of an arrow, or fired as an arrow. And as it spins, the air passing through it would make a sound, probably a loud bird-like cry. So this was some sort of, basically an audio flare, more or less. So it's a good thing you got it, because you see that he did manage to, before you knocked him out, cock his crossbow back.
Giles is gonna look down at the pitiful little mouse, and as his regiment is flanking him, they could easily tell that he's contemplating whether or not he should just finish him off. Giles is going through his evil arc.
Arabelle comes up next to you. Brave little one, isn't he?
Foolish.
Very little distinction when it's in service of others.
Ballbag thought he'd turn around and shoot me. Not me. He'd hold up the arrow. He's gonna call down the whole that city upon us.
We're pretty perilously close to them, my lord.
Unfortunately, they came far too close to our little operation. They had to go. They're heading straight for us. Casualties in a greater war. Freedom is not without blood.
Jeffrey, nearby, squats down next to this little mouse who... He's currently... His breathing is starting to level out. There's still a pretty hard wheeze to it, but it's at least not quite like... It isn't... what would be the word? It isn't like hyperventilation. It's now like starting to stabilize out a little bit. And he looks down at the cloak that this mouse is wearing. and sort of plays with the feathers and squats up and looks over at the rest of the city. I don't think he's one of them, actually. Different color feathers. Look. And he pulls the cloak that this one's wearing out, and you can see blood red feathers on this one, like a cardinal. And he points further into the city, and you can see most of them. You can see a couple of bonds mice, like, towards the entrance. From where you are, like, towards the top of a hill. And you can sort of see a little bit further down into what's like a little bit of a gully, towards where the road would actually worm its way back around towards the entrance gate. And you can see a number of bonds mice there, and they are all wearing bright blue feathers. Very much like a blue jay's feathers. I think they might have been from elsewhere.
An
Perhaps some other kind of regiment?
opposing faction or brigands, perhaps a separate military force. It's hard to tell. I suppose you should go take a look at the armored ones and see if we can't find something on them. Maybe some sort of identifying markers other than feathers.
Aye. I suppose we'll take a look then. Janet? She nods, and they both hoist their Zweihanders and go jogging back, carrying them over their shoulders. Arabelle sort of stands up next to you and gives you this very concerned look.
I like to think that the camera angle right now, like thinking from like a comic book perspective, like the body of this mouse is like blurred in the foreground, and it's like panned looking up at Giles and Arabelle, and Giles is just like looking down. What do you think?
I think we have questions that need answering before this mouse gets consideration I know you're currently giving him.
When I was your age, Arabelle, I wouldn't think twice about this. I suppose advancing age comes with skepticism and doubt.
I believe that'd be called wisdom by anyone else, my lord.
Skepticism often leads to very poor decisions. Or lack thereof, more importantly. It says he grabbed this mouse by one of its legs and just started dragging it along. It was kind of just, it was so small compared to him. He was just kind of dragging it. He's like, fuck it.
Yeah. The cloak that it's wearing is practically like a... it's practically like it's on a skiff. Like, the feathers are so long and stiff that they basically act like skis underneath it. And Arabelle follows you as you drag them back to where you guys were. Either way, my lord, I think this is one of those things we're going to have to get a little more answers before we start swinging our swords. This, I feel, is a good moment to ask, do you guys want a bio break?
That'd be good.
Muted. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so very much for waiting. I surely do appreciate it. We are back with Mouse Guard. Omni, what's going on?
All right. So, Sienna, we're going to go back to you. So, where we last left you off, you were making your way back towards the group. What's the plan? What are you doing?
I go to my group, and I imagine that we probably develop some subtle hand signals to communicate with each other on the battlefield when we don't want to say stuff audibly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, nonverbal communication is totally a thing. Even if it's not like a formal, like, sign language, you can intuit pretty well.
So I kind of casually throw them, not casually, but discreetly throw them the sign for like, be prepared to fight, and then I throw them the sign for basically try not to have any casualties. Of course, it's not that worthy, but that's the gist of what I'm saying to
No,
them.
that's fair. That's fair. All right. So I'm going to have you... Actually, I think this is a simple enough thing where I was going to be like, if it's complex, I'll have you make the roll to determine, like, if they recognize it. But it's not that complex. It's literally a be ready. And you just kind of, like, gently tap the back of your hand, and they all kind of just, like, look at you. And some of the chefs that you have right now, the knives they're using, they go underneath, and they come back with slightly bigger knives. The ones that, you know, they're less cutlery, more cutting weapons.
Oh, yeah, they got scimitars. Scimitars are an actual kitchen instrument that people do not know about. They're like this long. They're for cutting fish.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just imagining them cutting the flatbread with their actual sword.
Oh, yeah,
That's
no,
what the Egyptians
absolutely.
did.
Or like an
There's one
axe.
who's actually
That's what the
sawing
Egyptians did.
through a bread with a sword breaker right now. Like, you know, doing little bits with that. And it's working pretty well, too.
Don't loaf me in with those guys.
Goddamn.
Like
You're
Don't
bad.
start with the puns again.
You're batting 10 for 10 today, Red. What the hell? So, all right. As they're all getting ready, you can see, I should say, you can sort of see that the whole of the bazaar seems to be starting to quiet down. It's starting to get towards like afternoon, like late afternoon, where the sun is not quite going down yet, but it is way past its apogee. And we're now at the point where the shadows are getting very long. And a lot of the mice are starting to like, especially the ones by where you are, starting to like belch and like loosen their belts and start going like, okay, this is a great time. I'm going to go home and work off this extra food or just sleep it off for the next 4 days. And so like, you know, you're seeing the crowds begin to disperse a little bit, which leads me over to...
Oh yeah, I'm encouraging them to go, you know, packing flatbread to go so they can take it home with them if they need to. Like, yeah, get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
But not so obvious that I'm trying to get them away.
Here, we're closing. This is all the food. Just fucking take the whole stand. Just go. Fucking leave. Yeah. When someone's closing the McDonald's and they practically throw the last of the fries at you to get you the fuck out the door.
Just throw the whole bag of flour in someone's arms. Just take it.
Here, just take the potatoes and make your own fries at home. Now get the fuck out. So, as this is happening, since you're both in the same scene now, we're gonna turn on the other side to where Dukan and also your apprentice and your squad are currently all squatting at the moment. At the moment, Cole is kind of just like sitting there right now, currently wielding both the little warhammer that his mentor gave him and the tooth blade, just like ready to just jump on anyone who comes within line of sight of him. And meanwhile, Squeeb and Gremble are both preparing themselves for combat. And by preparing themselves for combat, I mean they're both just like looking at each other and basically like quietly mumbling to each other like, so what are you gonna do when you get the bird? Oh, I don't know. I kind of want the legs. I kind of want the wings. I wonder if they taste good. Like they're
There will
doing
be
that
no
back.
killing of any birds. Well, not in the next few minutes, I hope. If we're attacked, we're going to defend ourselves, but we're coming in here to give this hawk an ultimatum. And I tell them, like, we only have one shot at this. I know that's a big word. It means that he has to make a decision, and based off what he does is what we're going to do in response. Does that make sense, Grimble?
It does.
All right, now
Fine.
put that into the right words for squeeb. I'm just kidding.
Looks over at Squeeb.
Again.
Just looks at Squeeb. Disappointment. And Squeeb is like, oh.
Every
His little
fucking
anger
time.
hits a little bit.
Every time I hear the names that I say in this game, I'm like, I am like Phyrexian oil. I'm going to complete everybody's campaign.
You poison the realms
stupidity.
you enter with Squeeb and Gremble.
I'm Karn, I'm
That's finally
planeswalking
good.
around. It's just like, you are Squeeb now, and I planeswalk away. And everybody worships him because this weird fucking dude with a flat cap just told him he was Squeeb. Like, you know, like, what is Squeeb? He is the Squeeb.
He's the squeeb worshiping.
Squeeb. All right.
No, but I tell them, you know, like, if shit goes sideways, you'll know. But yeah, we only got one shot at this. Let's make it count.
Make me a hunter roll.
Oh boy, I got that.
I know you do.
Oh, where'd the thing go? Okay. Oops, where'd it go? Why'd it do that?
And also, yeah, there you go. That's good. Okay. Oh my God! What an absolutely off the wall roll there.
I spent another
Nice.
fate.
Okay, that's fair. That's good. That makes things a little better. So, everything's going pretty according to plan, but you are starting to look at the sky a little more, and it is starting to get darker pretty quickly. Like within the next 2 hours, it will be nightfall. Which means that when night falls, you know enough about birds to know that hawks, they prefer to do stuff during the day. Usually. Some will go into like evening, but red-shouldered hawks, they dive through forests with trees and branches, and they need their sight about them. So the second that the sun starts getting long, most of those hawks start turning in for the evening. And you don't know whether or not the Lord of Vinecrawl is going to just sleep up there, or he has a roost elsewhere in the forest. And if that's the case, then who knows how far away that might be, and if you'd even be able to get to it in time. So your window is closing quickly.
Yep, I'm gonna make my move.
Okay. What's the plan, man? What's the plan? What's the game plan, man? Hit me with it.
I'm gonna walk right out in front of him. In front of him and everybody else. With my weasels and my little mousy boy. And I'm gonna tell him what's good.
Awesome. All right. Hey, Skyld, welcome. Nice to have you on board.
Scald!
Sup? So, oh man. So it takes a couple of like minutes to scramble up on top of the area above the bazaar, which is where the lord of this realm resides, Seer, the Baron, the red-shouldered Baron. He is currently, at the moment, squawking and talking and occasionally laughing, guffawing with what appears to
you
be.
finished him.
Yeah, I went back and I finished all the art. I'm
beautiful.
quite happy with it. Thank you. So, Seer sort of is chatting with a number of what appears to be his counselors. And I'm assuming you're making no intention of hiding your perspective, of hiding you at all. Like, you're just walking up.
Yeah, I want everybody to see me.
Okay. So, you fucking manage that. As you clamber up onto this upper level, this gantry is above the bazaar. And it's sort of built around the bottom of this thick dowel-like branch, which you can actually see in the middle has been entwined almost kind of like when you see people grow like trees or branches into the shape of chairs by molding them and like putting them in a frame. They've clearly done that with this and literally interwoven it so these two trees are practically holding hands. And at the strongest point is currently where the hawk is currently sitting. And one of his advisors points behind him at you guys, and Seer, in his armored metal mantle, turns to look at you. And his eyes narrow a little bit. Slowly rotates. And this is where I'm going to reveal something to you. So remember the whole, and this is a little thing that we haven't talked about in a while, but I feel it's pretty important. Do you guys remember me talking about the natural order in this game?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the natural order scale determines what you can and can't kill effectively. Mice, they're at stage 3 on the natural order scale. You're a full-grown weasel, so you're sitting at 4. Seer is currently sitting at the same size as a coyote. He's fucking huge. He requires warfare to engage, even for your kind. If you had gotten the jump on him, maybe you could have killed him. Now that he's aware of your presence, you realize it would take twice as many men to drop him at this point. Even with his wings folded, the sheer scale of the threat he presents is utterly undeniable. And this great hawk slowly lowers its head down until it's closer to your eye level. What can I do for you, traveler?
Dukan wishes to speak with you, Seer.
He turns around and looks at his attendants, and they're kind of looking back and forth between the two of you, a little stunned, actually. A fully armed war party has emerged on the topmost level of Vinecrawl, and no one saw it coming, and now they're talking with their lord. It's
Dukan
not
goes,
what
Dukan goes, I believe that Dukan believes the term is Parley. I said it. I said the thing. I said the name of the session.
You said the thing, yes. He said it. Roll credits, everybody. So at this point, I'm going to say right now, you absolutely can see all this, Cyana, as this is happening. As you can't hear, you're too far down, but you can very clearly see Dukan and his little squad of dudes walk into the open and present themselves in front of Seer. And the posture that Seer is currently engaged in, I'm going to have you make me... This is going to be an interesting one. I will have you make me either a scout roll or a persuader roll. I can see either one of the two being valuable here.
I'll do a persuader. I have the same in both.
All right. That's a success. I can tell you that that will be enough. You don't need to spend persona on that if you don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. I don't want you guys wasting resources when this is big. You're gonna need them.
I'm sure we'll need them.
From the posture you can see, you haven't seen many hawks before. Most mice don't. This is the equivalent of meeting a dragon. So what you have learned, however, you have studied in the past during your time as a Tenderpaw how predators behave, things to look for, body posture, vocal intonation, that kind of thing. And from the way that Seer's currently angled his head down, his body's almost like at an angle, like a slope. His body posture is that of a predator considering whether to strike or not.
Dukan is cool as a cucumber.
It isn't overly aggressive. Clearly Seer isn't super hungry, and clearly Seer isn't super agitated. But the Hawk Lord of Vinecrawl is very clearly debating between life and death.
From what I can see, should Sayana want to do it, does she think that her party would actually be able to help Dukan get out of there? Or would this just kind of be a suicide mission where we all run in and also get killed by the Hawk and his guards?
Entertainingly, you don't see any guards right now on the upper level. It almost, in fact, looks
Okay.
like they're clearing out, which gives you the implication that there's not a guard in Vinecrawl that can match what this Hawk would bring to its own defense. That said,
So let's say.
well, that
Go ahead.
said, if you wanted to get up there to save their lives, if your goal isn't to kill the Hawk, but to escape, having more people there to run interference would help. You stand no chance against taking this thing down by yourselves. You will need tactical weaponry or a battlefield plan for this. This will require regiments. But, that said, escaping it, more people to do that would make it easier. Certainly it would be an easier way to save Dukan and his crew of, like, his strike team of, like, 4 to 5. As opposed to, you know, them just trying to scatter and try to outrun a fucking Hawk on their own. Like a good 50 feet off the ground.
2 questions. Are there still other mice and guards around that would see us move to closer to where the Hawk is? And 2, is there any place near where the Hawk is that would not look super suspicious for us to start heading towards?
That is an interesting question. This would be, again, I hate to make you roll the same thing twice, but I feel like this would justify another scout roll on your part. So you would have 1 pass for the last one.
Nice.
Very nice. Hell yeah, that's good. Okay. Looking around, you can see the majority of the Bonds mice and their other troops around, as well as also the majority of the mice still in the plaza, are all kind of just staring. They're used to seeing their lord do business about them, but this is very clear something else. And they are all watching aghast, with one particular exception. And that would be Trevor. Trevor, despite this, you can see his attention is split between what's going on above and you. He's looking at you very directly. Your roll is high enough for me to let you intuit his motives. You realize as he's looking at you, and the intensity in his gaze is very clear, he fucking had you made the minute you came into this place. It was nothing to do with your rolls, for the record. Trevor rolled 6 6s.
Damn you,
My
Trevor.
boy absolutely fucking aced the shit out of it.
What did I say at the beginning of the session? I said I don't trust him. What did I
But
That
say?
was
that
last-
said,
I mean, you did say that, but that was
but
last
that's
session.
He hasn't done anything
I know,
yet.
that's
Exactly.
the thing. That's why I don't trust him.
that's the trick. Trevor has been watching you to gauge your actions. You very quickly can realize that when he heard his lord bring up what happened over in Serpent's Run, he knows you're involved. You also heard them talk about how they view the vicar, and it wasn't particularly fond. And you heard him even talk to you guys about how he thinks that this place is pretty decent. So you realize he's been using this opportunity to test you, personally. He's not a commander of the guard. He's not particularly high-ranking. He's effectively little more than a fucking assassin. But he's been watching you, and now he's waiting to see how you reveal yourself. What are you going to do? And you realize that this is him giving you, this is his last judgment of you. He is not going for his weapon. He is not threatening you in any way. But his eyes are floodlights into your soul. He is looking at you very clearly from behind that white face makeup he wears.
Sorry about this, Dukan. I kind of just subtly put a hand behind my back and signal the guys to we're standing down.
Trevor watches the hand gesture you make and watches the other.
You can't see.
Oh, behind your back?
my
Okay, that's
back.
fair. He sees that you're clearly communicating in some way. Like, there are subtle, unless you're trying to truly hide it, in which case, this is the last I'm going to make you fucking make this
I
roll.
would like to.
This would be a scout roll because you're trying to. Actually, this would be a deceiver roll if you're trying to really hide that from him.
Okay.
That's a success. And I will have him make his draw.
There's one success. Holy shit.
So I'm going to say, based on circumstances, right now he's more interested in your overt actions than your covert ones. So I will give this to you. I will give you the success. I feel like it's
Sweet.
warranted.
I mean, it'd be easy enough to kind of position myself in a way where he couldn't even see that I put an arm behind my back.
No, absolutely. You're wearing a cloak and heavy clothes. Like, it really isn't that hard to just be like, you know, to anyone else, it would look like you're just putting your hands behind your apron or behind your, like, cloak. But to one of them, you could pull the cloak to the side and make a gesture they couldn't see. Like, if I put my hands in my tunic, no one would see what was going on with those. So that's fair.
Yeah. I'd like to amend what I said. I told them we're standing down for now. Like, we're not gonna go. We're gonna wait and see what happens. Obviously, if a hawk starts pecking at the weasels, we might try and go save who we can, but
that's fair.
No need to rush in and ruin the potential deal that she's brokering right now.
Okay. So, as you sort of make those hand gestures, and your crew, they don't fully relax, but you can tell they sort of like step back from like DEFCON 5 levels of like alertness. They're just a little, they're pulled back a tad. And from where you're looking, you can just see Trevor slowly nod and then turn to look up at the hawk. And as he does, he presents his back to you for the first time since you've come into the city. Dukan,
Alright, Trevor.
back up to you. You can see Seer currently glowing eyes burrowing into you. It's very rare you see a hawk this close. And you can, the eyes, the striations in the irises, it's like looking at like sand-blown glass. But the iris practically glows orange beneath the helm. And Seer slowly cranes his head a little to the side. I take it you're not one of Midnight's.
Dukan wears no mask.
So I see. Strange. I hadn't thought there were any enclaves of your kind left outside of Midnight's people.
Stranger things have happened. You'll find the world is full of a great many deal of them.
I would say so.
Dukan like digs into his satchel, like produces a little piece of like snake jerky, like peels it in half, like hands one off to him.
Seer looks at it for a second, leans forward, and with a beak nearly as big as your arm, gently takes it out of your hand. And
yeah, Dukan eats at the same time, and then he continues speaking. They say that you are a gracious host, that your concern for your people is rivaled only by your prowess.
the eyes narrow behind the visor a tad. And as the shadows grow longer, you can see that the shadows it casts on his face are almost consuming where the area around his eyes and cheeks would be beneath the curve of the metal. And you realize, looking head on, why the armor looks the way it does. It almost has a barn owl-esque look, where it makes the curves beneath where the eyes are. And despite his hawkish demeanor, head on, you can almost imagine a sculpture of metal in the shape of an owl's head.
That's badass.
Slowly gazes down at you. I will take it then that you must be newcomers here. Are you not?
Depends on your definition of newcomer. Are we new to the city? Yes. Do we intend on staying here? No.
You call me fair, and you call me noble. Excellent words for those with silver tongues.
Dukan does not believe he used either of those words. Dukan used gracious. You do not trample over your people or hunt them for sport. You do not have them erect stone images in your visage only to tear them down and start again. You do not have them quarrel amongst each other so that they will never vie for a fair life. Dukan would consider this gracious.
How can you be sure I'm merely not so content with my majesty I need no monuments? How are you certain I'm not like my preening nocturnal kin? You know nothing of me but what my people say, and my people are but subjects. I keep court out of courtesy, but they know where we stand. I am predator. They are prey. I choose to avoid slaughter, but how can you be certain it is not me merely conserving food instead of respecting right?
Because you live amongst them. Believe it or not, there was a time where Dukan did not think too differently than you, Seer, that they were food. That there was no sense in anything but carnage. Dukan has found that in living amongst them, they are more than prey. They are people with dreams and ambitions and ideas, just like you, just like Dukan. You have lived amongst them, and you have come to understand that. And now you cannot see them the way that you used to.
You presume much, Weasel. He takes a step off of the platform, and when he does, the entire woven gantryway beneath you shakes. He's not even stamping, but just the weight of him alighting on it is enough to make it move and flex.
Dukan knows of your pact, of the Nocturne Court. Dukan knows, for he has heard more than just what your people have said. He has seen how your people live. With dignity.
On the far side from where you are, you can hear a door open and see a number of shot mice emerge with various crossbows. And he just turns around, makes one loud clack of his beak, and it echoes through the trees. And the shot mice immediately just stand back. They were going to go to knock their bows, but they just immediately shoulder the weapons and kneel.
To kind of tactically break the tension amongst Dukan's own men, he says in Weasel behind him, like, pretty poor service to shoot us under Parley.
I'm pretty sure Grimble would probably at that just a little bit.
Dukan looks back to Seer and says, Dukan would like to offer you a choice. Great Hawk.
Strange tribute, certainly.
Dukan
But
offers
color me
tribute to
curious.
no predator. No mouse. No weasel.
What is choice but the freest gift? What is it, then?
A condemnation. This is no gift that Dukan brings you today. Dukan brings death. Dukan brings carnage. Dukan does not wish to see the bloodshed that must soak the lands that his people walk. But Dukan has come to realize that if we are to make progress in this world, predator, prey, and everything in between must throw down the shackles of the old world so that we may build a new, better one for all of us together.
Seer looks at you. His eyes narrow. And slowly he turns his head and surveys Vinecrawl. And all across the place, from the lines and the wires going across with all the different little platforms and moving trolleys and all the trams and all the different elevators, all of them paused as the mice and the other beasts and birds, songbirds, smaller prey birds, are all looking up at you two right now. And he looks past them, back where you came from initially. And he must be looking at the tortoises. He slowly turns his head around. You say you bring death and carnage, and yet you leave your greatest weapons behind. Seer would actually smile at that a little. If I sought to have you shot, I would have. You intrigue me, Weasel. A weasel that stands with mice.
Sorry, Neris. I said, I repeated my joke from earlier, but in the common tongue. Sorry.
Yeah. A weasel that stands with mice. Strange. I had thought you ancestral enemies, but from what you say, things do change a tad, don't they? All right. You bring war and death. There's no gift you bring, but a choice, a condemnation. Dare I ask of what?
The Nocturne Court. And depending on your choice, Seer, upon you, I offer you this choice, here and now. Sorry, I was speaking out of character. Dukan offers you this choice here and now.
Okay.
To whom do we wage war upon this day? You? Or those that unjustly rule over you?
He narrows his eyes at you. And they stay narrow this time. You know little of my dealings with the Nocturne Court. And since you bring it up, I will educate you, young weasel. And when I am done, you will tell me my answer. And we're going to take a moment and pop from here over to Red. Red.
Yeah. The tree.
So,
Oh, what's that phrase? The bird is in the nest. The bird is about to be felled from the nest.
yeah. So, you went back, I believe, to look at those guards, correct?
More importantly, I'm making sure that we're making good progress on this tree because I want to be ready at the drop of a hat.
All right. I'm going to make a roll here fast. So, when you run back, you can see that the tortoise and the mice are all doing their best to try to carve into this tree. But cypress grows strong. And they are wet, And they are coated in moss and bark that flakes off at the lightest touch. And while at first it seemed like they had gotten good purchase, it was only the bark they got through. And now that they're hitting hardwood, it is a struggle. At the rate they're going at, maybe a couple more hours.
We don't have that kind of time. Not particularly, I mean. Having myself a big red think right now. I'm funking pretty hard, bro. It's either Giles. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. Giles is gonna do some delegation, which is he's not particularly fond of, but dire times and all that. Giles is going to instruct everybody except for himself. So that would be Arabelle, Jeffrey. I almost said Jeremy. Jeffrey and Janet. They're all going to go to work on the tree, and he's like, Giles is saying, I need you to work your absolute ass off. If you are fatigued afterward, fuck it. We're doing our job. We are not here as a vanguard force. We are here as pure support. If this tree is not ready to come down when I say it's ready to come down, I am whipping all of you. I will beat you all until you're just as sore anyway. So,
All right.
In the meantime, Giles is going to make himself useful, and he's going to take over these bodies.
Okay. So everyone immediately gets to work. They are not going to question you. For a second, Jeffrey looked like he was currently picking over one of the bodies, but hearing that, he just immediately stands up and without any further words, just gives you a nod, walks over next to Janet, and they both take their swords and whack, 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 begin to cut. And all the mice in your group walk over with their blades, and one after the other, like watching lumberjacks work in sequence. One chops, walks past, the other on the other side walks up, chops, walks past, and begin doing this one after the other. And then after they've cut open a wedge, they bring the saw in behind it and begin to try to go again. It's still slow going, but maybe that might help speed it up. Over by the bodies. Okay, then. How are you going about this?
I'm just going to be rummaging through the bodies.
Really dark joke there. Second verse, same as the first, just hacking away.
That's fair.
God, motherfucker.
Very, very funny. All right, so if that's the case then. Red, you're going to make me, for this, I'm going to want, I will let you either do Hunter or Scout. You may add Warwise.
Cool. Okay.
If you don't want to do either of those two, you can try your nature. But remember, if you fail, it will go down.
Okay. Would I be allowed to add Warwise to nature? If not, I will just roll Scout.
For this, I will say no.
Okay. I'll use Scout and Warwise.
Okay.
Which would be a total of 5d6. That's pretty good. That's 3 successes.
Success on both of them.
Sorry, I was getting ready for a failure. That's why I was making that.
Yeah, no, I heard the beginnings of The Price is Right. Dun, 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 bow. I know what you were going for. I didn't watch that show a million times when I was a kid with my grandmother. So
I watched it before school in the morning.
It's good shit. So as you lean down, you start picking over the guard. I'm gonna give you a better look at these guys now. The last time we had drawn them, they were not as finished, but now you get a better look at the Raptorian guard.
Oh, right on.
Thank you.
I love the berserk eye behind the fucking thing. It looks badass.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that touch.
I'm going berserk 1997.
Yeah. So as you look over the armor, a lot of it's been savaged. And what you can see is that the feathers on their heads are different than the ones that the bonds mice had. The bonds mice are decorated in various feathers of songbirds, But you can see all the bonds mice here are all decorated in cardinal feathers. That is uniform. The Raptorian Guard, though, and I keep calling that because it's the only logical thing you could think of to call them would be, the Guard of Raptors, the Guard of Birds.
Oh, sure.
The feathers they bear are not the feathers of songbirds, but predator birds. Not just predator birds. These are the only feathers you've seen of an owl. And it appears to be stuffed around where the ear is, providing some kind of protection. Because one of the biggest vulnerabilities for a mouse wearing plate is that they have these big floppy ears that need to go out, and you can't really contain that under armor without seriously hurting yourself. It'd be like bending your finger to the back of your hand for an extended period of time. Like, even if you had the flexibility, it's going to start hurting very quickly. So most mice just leave their ears out of their helmets and just accept that they might get shopped at. But here with these feathers, they have a layer of protection and obfuscation they wouldn't normally have. It's almost like having a oh man, I can't remember the name of it, but the hauberk, like a chainmail hauberk for your ears.
Coif.
Yes, thank you, coif. So in addition to that, around their necks are each wrapped different colored cloaks. Each one appears to be of a totally different make. It's almost like they were all woven by different individuals. It doesn't take you long to realize with your militarist background. These are flags. They're bearing flags of their origin, and each of them comes from a different settlement. They are uplifted from the community, most likely. And as a result, given some degree of nobility. You've seen no other birds bearing owl feathers. And so, as you look closer at these, and you eventually get around to pulling your sword free of that one mouse's armor, when you do, and you pull open the helmet, you can see the eyes of that mouse are a wicked blood red, like a tomato. And around where their eye sockets are, almost like they're highly dried out, almost like a parched land, cracks and creases in their face, cutting into their skin around where their eyes are. And even in death, their eyes have a soft, pale red glow to them that illuminates the interior of their helms. The weapons they all carry have iconography and imagery of barn owls of various kinds. Even the axe of the one that you fought, you can see nearby, the head of it almost looks like an owl's head from the side profile of it. But in this particular instance, it comes to the very immediate realization. These are a different faction, but they're not just any different faction. These mice are likely from the capital. They are likely chosen by owls to be their personal vanguard. You have seen nothing else like this locally.
Gonna kill these guys anyway. Right on, all worked out. The enemy of my enemy and all that.
I'm also taking a look at your role here. Okay, yeah, no. Good. So, immediately, 2 and 2 together, they're not from around here. They probably weren't brigands. They are official, with the amount of... The investment of their plate alone would require a settlement. This kind of armor, this isn't going to be made by some brigand in the middle of nowhere. This is finely crafted. This is full plate. Like, most mice don't even wear half plate. This is full plate, which is rare as hell. I'll let you put that together.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty expensive.
There is one final thing I suppose I will tell you, since I think your role justifies it. You did roll a pretty decent success. You get the feeling these mice aren't here for taxes because because their cart they brought with them is not laden with bags or goods or coins of any kind. There are other settlements long before this one. And in fact, this is, as far as you understand, the frontier of owl territory. So it makes no sense for them to have come this far out and have nothing in their cart. The way they have arrived here It appears as though if the only things they have brought with them are materials which will help them survive on the road and food. And in the back of that cart, you can see a message tube.
Okay.
That's all you see.
So I can't read it?
You can if you like, yes. If you want to go over and open that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to read it.
All right. The seal of it.
Giles knows how to
I was
read.
actually going to be like, do I know how to read? I was like, no, Giles knows how to read. He's a warlord. He has to know these things.
So, I will say when you get to it and you lift it up, you can see the entire thing is sealed in wax. Not like a wax stamp. The whole thing has been dipped in wax. And to seal it, as you hold it in your hands, you realize that what has indented it is a single owl's talon wrapped around the whole thing comfortably. The talon is so big, it couldn't fit two around this tube, and this is big enough for you to hold both hands. When you crack it open, you don't recognize the language. But, and this is where I'm going to have you make me a nature roll. Nothing else. Just nature.
Okay.
So I was right. Giles can't read.
I can if I use my natural strength hard, if I punch it hard enough, I can.
If I throw a book hard enough, it'll surrender what it knows.
I got one traitor, about 3 successes, so 2 successes.
So 2 successes. All right. Okay. Giles, as you open this and you try to read the words, which you can only see are what appear to be scrawls of what appear to be bird talons in different arrangements. In some cases, 2, 3 facing different directions, almost like a semaphore. You don't have any idea. You don't have any. There's no like Rosetta Stone translation here for this. But as your eyes pore over it, what you do see is the edges of your vision beginning to cloud and shadows beginning to pull in close. Almost like night is falling very quickly. And if you continue to read, it gets visibly closer until it is very clearly not a mirage. It is very real to you. Do you continue to read as the shadows crawl closer?
Man, who turned out the lights?
It's right behind me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to make one Marvel joke.
And if I'm you're there, then that means. No. Yeah. I'll keep reading.
Okay.
Info hazards and whatnot.
That's fair. Eventually, as you read, as your eyes scroll past these runes you can't make heads or tails of, some larger than others, some more like slashes on the paper, the shadows go from slowly encircling you to racing up your legs and body until you are completely ensconced in darkness. And after a second, the darkness begins to fade, and you're left with an almost black and white impression of the environment around you. But it's not where you were. You're in the interior of what has to be a tree, clearly. Very high up. You can't see the ground from where you are, but in fairness, everything's so washed out and hazy, it's difficult to tell. The tree has no branches with any leaves on it, even though it's starting to become spring. And there should at least be buds, but the tree is dead. And its gnarled, crooked branches spiral upwards like a web. Behind you, you hear a loud, sharp squawk. And as you turn, you can see 5 mice, all on their knees, in full plate armor, wearing familiar flags around their necks. The only thing in color in this whole vision, save for the large, monstrously huge barn owl and its burning red eyes. It slowly surveys the warriors in front of it. And all it says is go. And when it does, the tree quakes, and the mice rise and nod at the same time, and walk towards the branches. Without another word, throw themselves out. No stairs here. In the distance, all you see is a set of wings and something hanging from below there. And the owl slowly turns and looks out across the forest. And without looking at you, it says one set of words. I can see you. And the vision ends, and you're left standing there holding the paper. And you're back where you were.
Yeah, I was gonna look around. He's been on many a spiritual journey, as it were.
That wacky tobacco more than once.
Yeah, you know. I mean, if you don't see Giles smoking a fucking like pipe that's like longer than his torso, it's not.
Yeah, that's fair. The Hobbiton special. I got you.
He's gonna look around at the canopy, just like surveying it, not like in a panic, but in sort of like a. Is there anybody actually there, or just like some magic tomfoolery?
Scout. I'm making you guys make a lot of scout rolls lately. I apologize. I don't mean to keep harping on it, but it is literally perception in this game.
Scoot. I only got one in scout. Wonderful.
As you survey the canopy, you can't see anything out of place. It is getting on in the day. In fact, actually, there is something you do see. Even with your low roll. It isn't a traitor, so I'll give you this. The position of the sun is different from when you picked up the paper. You have lost at least an hour.
Giles lets out the cigar roll, like, and he like starts making his way back towards the tree. It's like, oh fuck.
Okay.
I just did a Metal Gear Solid 5, like take a drag off the cigar, and he goes, what? And like fucking fast forwards time. That's literally what I did.
God damn it.
I'm gonna read this every time I need to pass time from now. I'm just gonna keep it with me.
You're taking the paper
just
with
like,
you,
Giles, I swear to God, what? Like holds it up.
So are you taking the paper and the tube with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I don't know, man. It's a big thing. Okay, this thing is about the size of your torso. If you're carrying it with you, by all means, just be aware.
Yeah, everybody has one of these. It came with your Xbox.
Okay, that's fair. So, when you run back, you can see that the majority of your troops are still sawing. They have not made much progress.
Oh my God.
This tree is thoroughly defeating them, and you can start to see why. The interior of the tree is rotten. And as they cut deeper and deeper, and they finally have gotten to the core parts of the tree, bugs come swarming out. Thankfully, for you guys, bugs are kind of more of a...
Food.
Yeah, they're a food source, they're livestock. It's kind of like going into a... it's like going into a field and sheep just leaping over it. But a stampede of sheep is still a genuine pain in the ass. And for you, watching as these borer beetles come pouring out, you see the mice all going like, shoo, just that. Like some trying to chase them away with swords, others like holding torches to them. Like this tree is eaten through. It is petrified in the worst possible way, and its skin is soaking wet. Like, this is actually the worst type of tree to cut down. And you guys looked really hard for a good tree to cut down. Which tells you that this part of this forest is just fen. It is just rotting. And while normally this would be easier for us to chop down, for mice, it makes it almost impossible to get purchase. One of them isn't, though. And that would be Jeffrey. He's currently back on the tortoise, on the top. And he appears to be looking through what appears to be a looking glass.
I see. What direction is he? Is he looking towards the city? Like, where is he looking?
He's looking towards Vine Crawl.
That's
He doesn't even look. He doesn't even see you coming. He's so dead focused on what's in the views. What's in this viewfinder.
I'm gonna go up there and take it from him. Not like forcefully, just be like, relinquish that to me. Like, just kind of like fork it over.
He would hand it to you and just point at the city and just say, "My lord, look." And where he's pointing, you can see through this thing, after taking a moment to like get it focused again for your eyes, in your position.
My mouse eyes.
A hawk, clearly there, and next to him, a weasel and mice. And the hawk is looking directly at you. And then he slowly looks away. And from where you can see, he is currently talking to Tukan.
This is going swimmingly, I see.
I'm just kidding. I can't see you.
Tukan, like...
This is going really well.
Yeah. What do we do, my lord?
Keep sawing.
I
don't care if we don't kill the bloody hawk. That's not my problem. I just want him to know that I will destroy his entire community if I have to. If he's such a good lord. If he cares about his people, he'll stand down. And Giles would just like... Giles clearly can't see that far, but he's just like looking back in the hawk's direction like, I'm going to try to look you in your hawk eyes, your predator eyes. Like...
Yeah, when you're staring at someone and you're like, there's a sniper somewhere out there. I don't know where he is, but he fucking sees me.
Yeah, Giles just sees a red dot appear on his chest, and the eagle opens its mouth, and you just go...
The fucking Gustavo Frig moment, just like... just shoot me, you bastard.
Oh, I was thinking of the same word. I just... Oh my god.
I won't go any further.
Last chance to work with me, Hawkman.
Last chance to work with me, Seer.
And the hawk just like looks down at him and opens up his mouth, and you guys go, oh! And he fucking explodes.
Fire on my position.
So we'll go from where you are right now, Giles, to back where Seer is. And we will see that Seer is, in fact, looking in your direction.
I'm just gonna stare him down.
Yeah.
I don't give no fuck. I'm staring him down. I can still do.
I'm going to take a brief moment to ask, do you guys need a bio break? Because it has been 2.5 hours, and this is a decent enough point to pause for a moment.
Probably going to need to call it around 10, so I would be okay with just pushing on if you guys are.
Okay. I'm down with that. All right. So, Seer turns his head back to you, Tukan. You tell me that you know of my plight. Let me tell you what it is. Ages ago, my people were ruled by the Falcon. And the Falcon was a preening, savage bastard. He slowly stalks a little closer to you. The Falcon viewed all things as beneath him. He viewed his territory as a hunting ground. In that, we are the same. However, the Falcon had a mouse to his name, Faulkner. And Faulkner, the hawk's mouse, was his enforcer, his knight. He ruled my people with an iron fist. But while his talon gripped stronger than a trap, his wings lifted us all up. And my ancestors ruled the skies unopposed. The owls stayed in the dark. The bats kept to their caves and canyons, and only at twilight were they allowed out. Songbirds were allowed to flourish as prey as well as residents. But the falcon ruled all, and the balance of nature was enforced. Until Faulkner murdered his master, and in doing so, robbed my people of a leader. The falcon's kin and kith and chicks were all slaughtered in short order by competing birds of prey. His nest robbed and scattered, until only the throne remained. My ancestors attempted to defend their lords, people, and kin, and they were nearly driven from these lands until the tyrant came. The tyrant gave my great-grandfather a chance. Rule by my side as my eyes during the day, he told my great-grandfather. I will give you dominion over that which the falcon lost. You will be my servant, but no harm shall come to you. And I shall give you the edge of my territory to rule. See to it as you see fit, but know it as a gift. My great-grandfather agreed, and Vinecrawl has been ours ever since. The owl does not come out here, but for some of his servants to deliver edicts from time to time. The only reason Vinecrawl is what it is the owl's lack of intervention. And you come here and tell me to break my bond for the sake of my people? And he takes another step forward and the whole gantryway quakes. My people live only by the mercy of that bastard owl. And I would do anything to rip open its throat. And as he says this, he crunches down on the gantryway with one of his talons. And beneath it, the twigs shatter. And the only thing holding this gantry up right now is his talon. If you want to not like potentially fall, if he relaxes his foot, you're gonna need to get onto like the little dowel that goes across. Above.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Skitter.
He doesn't pursue you. He just watches. Slowly looks down at the gantryway. I would do anything to see that murderous thing cast down. But you ask me to surrender my people to murder and slaughter. I cannot do that. Though I wish I could. I am bound by my oath, by my blood. It is the only thing keeping these mice safe. My territory mine. You want me to turn against it? Where are your armies, Weasel?
You have eyes,
Where's your
Hawk.
warriors?
You have eyes, Hawk. You can see them far better than Dukan.
Which direction?
That matters little.
It matters to me. You want me to renege on this oath? I need to see something of meaning. More than sweet words from a usurper, however much I wish to believe them. A
Usurper?
direction.
Dukan is no usurper. Dukan does not wish to rule over weasels and mice and birds and bats.
You only wish to overthrow the way things have been for several hundred years. You may
Yes.
not seek to rule, but you seek to destroy.
And to create. Our forces are coming from the south.
He turns around and clacks his beak. And the shot mice on the other end all lower their weapons and aim at you. And he turns back to look at you. If you move, they will fire. A moment. And he just flaps his wings once. Make me a health roll.
Five.
Okay, that's solid. And I will make a roll over here. Okay. And okay. And okay. So, Squeeb and Gremble, both as this hawk flaps its wings and a gust of wind barrels into you, it pushes itself up with one flap and it's gone, just into the canopy. But the passing of that burst of air knocks all of you a little off balance. Dukan, you kind of expected it. And strong as it is, you preparing for it, bracing against it, keeps you relatively stable. Gremble and Squeeb, both of the two of them dig their claws in and don't move. Cole gets caught off guard and nearly
No.
thrown from the dowel before he
No.
reaches out with his hook, with his hammer, and turns the sharp warhammer spearing part of it into the dowel and just hangs there for a second and just looks down.
Dukan grabs him by the
Scrambles back.
cloak.
Yeah, you pull him back up.
Careful, little weasel.
Put him down.
And he just sort of like goes on all fours and clings to the wood. From where you are, Sayana, you can see him take off. You can feel the gust of wind, even down here. It's pretty strong.
I look at Trevor and see if he has any noticeable reaction.
Trevor's eyes are on the hawk. But make me a circles roll.
Circles. Okay. I will go ahead and roll.
Okay, so you're even now.
I have one more.
Nice.
Hell
Nice.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Should I explode it? No, I'll save
Okay.
it. Okay.
That's enough. As you look over at him, he's watching as his lord flies towards the sky. But then you realize, even though he's not looking at you, his hand is moving. And he's doing this behind his back, very clearly gesturing in your direction, pointing towards the base of the tree that leads up towards the dowel.
I kind of nudge Tom and Autumn. I indicate for Tom to follow me and Autumn to keep watch over the men.
Autumn salutes as the other nearby mouse guard are all still like, they're pretty on edge now. if they were on standby before, seeing the hawk take off, every one of them for a brief second just let the facade drop, and they all went to draw their weapons before they realized it was going up, not down towards them. And so Autumn just holds a hand out to sort of calm them, and they all put their blades back and go back to running the stand. Whereas
Probably cleaning it at this
pretty
point.
much, well, a lot of them cleaning and polishing the knives they were using, the cutlery they were using, very clearly prepping for the absolute worst. Thom, without a second word, follows you. Dead silent, hyper-focused. What do you do?
We go over to where Trevor was motioning for us. Or for me, but I'm not going alone just in case.
When you get there, you can see a stairwell carved into the side of the tree that goes up very clearly towards that gantry, towards the dowel where the Hawk Lord stood. And your final roll was a 6. So I feel like that's, again, there's not really anything like a critical hit in this game, but I feel like this is as good as we're going to get. So I'll give it to you. He's basically telling you if you're going to go up there, now's your time.
To do what?
Make me a scout roll. I keep making you guys
Sacrifice myself to plead my case.
Good enough. It's a difficult angle for you, but from where you can see, the way the shadows fall from the gantry, there's someone up there, opposite of where Dukan is. And they're wielding crossbows. And they are leveled at Dukan and his party at the moment. That stairwell probably leads right behind them.
Alright. I kind of motion for Trevor to lead the way and pull out a weapon.
He does. He draws out one of his sword. He draws out a sword and stalks forward with you. I'm gonna make a quick roll on his part. He assumes you don't want anyone killed. Ooh, okay. All right. So as you go up the stairwell, you get all the way out to the upper platform, and Dukan, you can see them on the other side. Behind where those shot mice are, with their heavy crossbows. And behind them, as Thom steps forward, there's a soft creak in the floorboards. And the shot mice look behind them, and one of them draws a hand crossbow and aims it behind him. And Thom holds his blade out in an on guard. Not striking yet. Clearly capable of it, but not doing it yet.
Flatbread, anyone? I don't think that's getting me out of this situation.
Honestly, one of them just sort of turns and raises an eyebrow. You were in the market earlier, weren't you?
Yeah. I was there earlier, as were many mice.
Don't lie to them.
I'm not lying. I'm saying I was in the market. Which I
I'm not
was.
saying you're lying. I'm just saying don't lie.
From below, you hear a... And you can see from where it came from, below, Trevor, with a hand crossbow. And a little wooden dowel comes fluttering down. A little bit of paper around the end, so it almost comes down like a dandelion leaf. And he's looking at the shot mice. He makes a couple of hand gestures. They look between you and the weasels and him. They won't shoot. Not yet. You're not here to slay us, right?
That's not my intention, but we will protect ourselves if attacked.
All right. We hear them out. And you. And they slowly bring their crossbows up to their shoulders. The one with the hand crossbow still has it pointed at Thom, but he relaxes his grip a little bit, sort of like in a, it's a little bit of a Mexican standoff situation. He's at sword point, the other one's at crossbow point, but the two of them visibly relaxed, clearly not willing to strike each other.
I go stand in between them. Calm down, everyone. I just don't want you to harm our friends.
Your seer deems them worthy to live. We have no intention of it.
I'm sure you've heard all that Weasel has to say about his reasons for being here.
I have.
Then I'm sure you've probably surmised that we are part of the troops that he mentioned.
Yes, I have.
We intend you no harm. We simply wish to enter the city under more friendly guise in order to see how you treat strange mice, not knowing if you would take kindly to them or not. And now that we have seen that you mean no harm, we also mean no harm.
From down the stairwell where you came from, you hear a familiar voice. And tell me, when you slay the vicar, how many were left? And behind you, with both his hands raised and no weapon in them, you see the torch mouse you met earlier, Nolan.
Do you refer to the mice that were living there?
Or the snakes that slithered alongside him.
He sort of nods. The serpents and the mice.
We saved as many of the mice as we were able to. Unfortunately, as typically happens in battles, there were some casualties, not from intent, but because they simply refused to give up fighting for their masters. The serpents have all been dispatched. The ones we could not kill fled, and those that do not harm mice still remain in the area.
He turns towards to the shot mice that are around him. Stand down, fully. Enough. It's in our Lord's hands now. And if he were to issue an order, and he looks back at you, it would take us a moment to rearm our crossbows, wouldn't it?
I suppose it would.
You hear a soft clack, clack, clack as they each let go of the tension in the crossbow, and it slowly resets, and they each reach up and take the quarrel out and put it back into their holsters. Nolan gives you a nod, and they turn to look back out over the reach as the distant sound of wings gets closer. And the Lord returns, landing with a crunch on the dowel that stretches across the two trees. A column, he says to you, Dukan. Armored, deep, and with a curious ship, the like of which I have only seen in scrolls. You do come clad for war.
And our allies bring fire. though I would hate to see such a beautiful city as this. We can put aside such unpleasantries for now. What say you?
He turns his head and looks out across the place, across the city, into the woods again. To surrender my fealty. It is an act of war. But there is a way out. I must serve my lord. I am sworn to him through blood and oath, an ancient right. And he slowly extends one of his wings, and underneath you can see there is a lattice work of scarring. And from deep within, a soft red glow, and the concentric geometric patterns carved into the flesh beneath his wing.
You might be beholden to the owls, but your people are not.
I agree. And this is where the rub lies. I cannot surrender. But if you were to defeat me, if you capture me, if you were to rebind me or break my binds, the oath would break. I will not fight here. I will not see Vine Crawl destroyed.
Nor would we want it.
There is a clearing, half a kilometer towards the north. The road will take you to it. Meet me there. On one condition. And he looks back out across this place. Your friend. I assume your friend. Cloth about the waist. Great blades.
We know him.
I practically call him a friend.
Yeah, that's what I was like. We know him.
Your ally currently undermines a tree. That tree is positioned rather precariously. I would see him stop.
Please, allow me.
Give me a signal. Go on.
Just say the word.
Allow me to
Just-
misinterpret it and chop the tree down anyway.
Very well.
No.
I will see you tell him to cease.
He will do so by choice or by force.
He will do so now. And he strides towards you with one flap of his wings. And he's going to lash out with his claw to grab at you. Do you resist?
No, I just kind of stiffen up like, oh, this is happening.
A talon as big as you wraps you up, and its grip is vice-like. It isn't crushing you, but you've been in iron rooms with more give than the grip of these talons. And he pushes off with one motion, and wings spread glides across Vinecrawl. Giles, from where you are standing, the hawk is flying towards you at great speed. It will be here in maybe the equivalent of 2 rounds of combat, as diving allows a red-tailed hawk to achieve speeds pushing 120 miles per hour. It is coming directly at you. It is not appearing to be... Its claws are not out to strike at you, but it is diving towards you.
Giles anticipated this. I mean, how does this thing literally like dead eye staring him down? It's just like, oh yeah, it's eventually going to come to collect.
What do? You have 1 round's worth of actions before it is on you.
I'm going to put my pinkies in my mouth. I'm going to let out a blisteringly sharp whistle, and I'm going to wave my hand for everybody. Like, just one dismissive wave, like, stop.
Immediately, the chopping stops. And they all look back towards you. As the loud of wings stopping, arresting, stunning momentum buffets the area, and even your tortoise slowly like curls its head away. You hear this as like the wind beats on it, and the other mice kind of hold their cloaks up to sort of batter against the wind. Even for you, it's pretty intense. But after just a second of flapping, this large hawk is standing in front of you, and it opens one of its talons and deposits in front of you, Sienna, perfectly unharmed. Probably a little freaked out, but unharmed.
Giles. Of course I would find you here chopping down a tree, wreaking havoc as always.
Giles would gesture to the tree and know that the state of this tree is like perfectly cut to where he was clearly having it cut in such a way that if he absolutely needed to, he would cut it down. And he would just gesture to the work being done, and he would let it explain itself. Just in case.
Tell your men to stop at once, please.
They gesture around to everybody that's already stopped.
Yep, no, their blades are all held up. And their hands are actually all up. They're doing kind of like the don't shoot gesture. But like, you know, a little bit more under control. Like it's very much a stand down at ease kind of
I may be a wee bit off my head sometimes. But I know when I don't need to do something. This is a contingency.
I mean, really, I did expect you to know better than potentially knocking down the homes of our new friends and allies.
Friends and allies. He'd look up at the hawk like, is this true? Like...
The hawk would look down its beak at you, and the bright orange eyes seem to flicker with the fading of the light. I cannot call myself that yet. But your restraint is noted, and there is wisdom in preparing for the worst, especially when dealing with my kind. I see you, Giles. That is your name, is it not?
Seems it precedes me.
I've heard it.
I literally just called you Giles.
Shut up. Shut up.
I heard your name before even Sienna spoke it.
He'd look at Sienna like, so it does precede me. It's like...
It's not always a good thing.
In this case, it is not. I have heard Ducon Diamondback. I have heard Sienna the Small. I have heard Giles of Wolfram. I have heard the echo of the 3-in-1 that is Cedric of Spruce Tuck. And I have heard the wisdom and ferocity of your matriarch. And these names echo in my sleep, where my lord will not let me rest. He sees you coming. He knows you will be here soon. So I give you a day. Slay me. Clip my wings. Net me. Cage me. Whatever you must do. If you wish to see Vine crawl freed from this oath, And he spreads his wings, and you can see beneath the glowing scarring again, very familiar to you, Giles, as the scarring around the eyes of those mice. Then you must take my freedom from me. Only then will I bend the knee to a new lord. But know this, I will not be caged for long to pray. This is your one chance, mice. Free me from this burden, and I may yet help you slay a lord. Or deem me a threat, and kill me while you can. But I will not give up easily. I must not. For if I do, then wings greater than I will darken these skies. And you will have less time than even I would like. And he flaps his wings once, and he just takes off up, curls, and glides towards the north. And I think that is where we're going to end the session.
I'm muted. Shit. I was raving about how good that was. That was fucking awesome. Yeah, that
Thank
was
you,
a great
man.
session. Hell yeah.
That was wild.
That was good shit. Parlay accomplished. I think we got probably the best case scenario out of that we could have hoped for.
You did. That could have been so
rolls.
much worse.
Yeah, very good rolls. Very good rolls tonight. Well, Omni, thank you for running it. I love you, buddy. As always, much appreciated. Red, thanks for being here. Natalie, thanks for being here. Chat, thank you guys for being here. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Let's go ahead and do our shout outs real quick. Tell people where we can be found, and we'll find somebody. I'll find somebody for us to raid into in the background.
Hell yeah.
Natalie, you want to start us off?
I won't be around for a bit because we're taking the Saturday off from Covet. So next Saturday, I will be back here on Derek's channel playing Covet with all these awesome people. Then Monday after that Saturday, we'll be playing on Red's channel, Pathfinder. Is that right?
Yeah.
Monday after this coming one, yeah.
Yeah, next month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. And then that Wednesday, right back to Mouse Guard. And that's about
Oh,
it
yeah.
for me.
Love you, baby. Thank you for being here as always. Red, what's happening, dude?
Yo, I'm Red. I'm one of the 3 primary colors. I am a content creator here on Twitch and Twitter at VA Redemption. I'm doing a lot of stuff this coming week. I'm not really planning on the rest of the week. I don't plan on really doing anything. You might catch me live on whenever the hell Arena drops the set. I think Tuesday. I'll be live on Tuesday if I have the time before the actual Tuesday Magic stream, where I'll have Valerie and Comrades, Valerie Fatality and Comrade Snake on. We're either gonna play one of 2 things. We're either gonna do a sealed event, which would be fucking awesome to do a sealed event in deck building on stream. But worst case scenario, we're still playing with the new cards because we're gonna get the March of the Machines Commander deck precons. I'm very much looking forward to that. And Thursday that week at 2 p.m. we're gonna be getting back to Call of Cthulhu due to scheduling issues and stuff like that. Alec Azam won't be joining us, but everybody else will be there. So I'll talk to Alec and we'll figure something out. But we will be live on Thursday. And I appreciate y'all's viewership. Seeing people still watching the VODs and getting like consistent 50 views on the VODs, that still blows my mind. Like a consistent 50 views. I was like, wow. So thank you guys. If you got any sort of like Magic content you'd like to see more of, if you want me to do TikTok, more YouTube short stuff, just let me know. I'll start doing that too. I very much love talking about Magic. I could do a whole fucking podcast talking about Magic, the lore, combos, like gameplay. Just Vorthos, Timmy's, Johnny. I'm all of those.
You should do a Johnny combo player deck building stream on Architect where you just spend like, I don't know, an hour or 2 making crazy decks in Architect.
I should. That would be awesome. I think people would like that too. And I could put that into a podcast environment too, because people.
That would be pretty fucking cool. I'd like that.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm just, trying to. I appreciate everybody's patience with me stepping my way into a completely different side of the community. I know I started out with TTRPGs, but Magic the Gathering is a really big passion of mine. I've been playing since high school, or like freshman year of high school. So, and I still love the game very much. despite its
Oh my
flaws.
goodness. Live from the Apocalypse rating with a party of 12. Oh my god, right here at
Hey.
the end.
Hello.
Thank you
Oh,
so
man.
much for the raid, guys. Thank you so much. Welcome in, Raiders. We are piggyback riding onto a raid into Rolling Thundiga. So just hang tight and you will get a recommencement of TTRPG content. Sorry, Red, please continue.
No, you're good. I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I do art. I have a coffee. I would really appreciate any sort of, if you want to buy any of my content, it directly helps me like a lot. You want to do me on Patreon, $3 tier, you can get proxies and stuff like that printable. And like I said, coffee. I make maps literally every single week. There's a brand new battle map,
They're great.
and
I like them. They're fantastic.
I'm glad you like them, boss.
Oh, yes, they are.
Derek often helps me decide what prompts I'm going to be doing for the week, so I very much appreciate him on that regard. And yeah, anything you guys do to buy any of my content or like sub to me on Twitch, it really helps out because I am looking to move, and that's very costly, as most people know. And
I might request some angel proxies.
oh, I would love to paint
Yes,
an
that'd be
angel.
sick.
I'd definitely do it in like old school Renaissance style too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
That'd be awesome. Make it look like the lake lady who gives King Arthur the
oh, I
sword.
love that
Lake.
painting.
Yeah.
Oh
be
man,
great.
I love that painting. Yeah, absolutely. I'll put that on my to-do list. But yeah, thanks for having me, Derek. I appreciate you.
Thank you,
Thanks
man.
for running an awesome session, Omni. And Natalie, thank you for constantly harassing Giles.
Someone has to. Ducon's been too easy on you lately. He's just like, just Giles being Giles. Meanwhile, Sam is like, we can't just let him get away with this.
with it.
See, but Dukan still has that like
Basically.
rule of strength thing. So like Giles pretty powerful. He can kind of do what he wants for the most part. Until our interests directly conflict, I'm cool with just like, all right, Giles doing Giles things.
Giles on it up.
I love it.
All right, well, Omni, where can people find you, buddy?
Thank you, pal. Hello, everyone. I'm the last Omnitect, your favorite What American, and you guys can catch me on my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thelast_Omnitect. I do world building, art streams, and rule smithing. Tomorrow is going to be the Breakfast Club, where we all hang out, relax, game, talk, and chat. I'm debating between either playing Destiny 2 or playing hilariously Sonic Frontiers, because I'm actually having a fun time with it. I know, right? Go figure. A good Sonic game, first time in a decade, but here it is. So in addition to that, I
Had to
also
happen
just
sometime.
posted, right? I just posted a link to my Redbubble as well, where you guys can actually go ahead and find. I have clothes for the different things in our games. I'm running Wild Skies with Tanria, a tabletop. I guess there'll be a Pathfinder 2e Lighter Than Air campaign. This would be the symbol of the plane. So if you're interested in repping some of the merch from that, which is a game I run every other Thursday on my channel, please feel free. I also have some of my old art designs and new art designs. I actually do a fair bit of illustration on my streams, so you can find a lot of my stuff there. I even have magnets for super cheap there. So if you want to help fund me, that's the most direct way to do it. I keep the profit margin as low as possible so that I can make the profits as cheap, or the items as cheap as possible for you all. So if you just want cool stuff, go get it there. It's probably the cheapest stuff you're going to get on Redbubble. As far as everything else goes, I run 3 games now. As I mentioned, my Pathfinder 2e Wild Skies Batanria game. I also run Mouse Guard right here, which I need to mention. Mouse Guard is written by David Peterson, and the rules for this is the first edition rules. It also has a second edition, which is like this with the errata. I cannot recommend Mouse Guard enough. I'm not sponsored. This channel is not sponsored. I'm doing this because I want to. Mouse Guard, both as a comic, as a role-playing game, is hella fucking fun. Seriously, if you ever liked mice and swords and weasels and anything like that, just trust me. It's really
If
fucking
you like Redwall, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Hell
you
yeah.
like Despero
I love the Redwall
as
books.
a kid. Yeah, like
I love
Yeah.
Redwall books as a kid. I wanted to live out my dreams of being that badger with a halberd, and now I kind of am, just smaller.
I can't recommend it enough.
I just wish I could be a squirrel.
Look it up. This is the book is like $35. It's pretty cheap for a whole role-playing game with like no expansions ever required. Really fun. I'm also looking at expanding and making, hopefully soon, open warfare rules. Using MCDM, Matt Coville's Strongholds and Followers rule set and warfare rules, and adapting them for Mouse Guard. And so keep an eye on that. That'll be free because I don't own this property, and I want to make sure that anyone who wants to use it can have as much fun as they can with it.
Awesome, dude. Oh yeah.
Other than that, you can catch me here on DMDM Studios in most of his games, ending with Redemption VM and most of his games as well. And every other week, I run Legacy, Storytelling the World Tomorrow, or more importantly, Legacy First Flight, the campaign of that game system I've been running for 20 years and is finally at the point where it can be played. So I'd love to see you guys there. It's not this week, but next week. Other than that, as always, I'm honored that you let me run this fun little game here. I love playing Mouse Guard with you all. You're all great players, and this is a genuine pleasure for all of you to have. Thank you for being here with me.
Love you, buddy. Thank you for running it. Having a great time. Can't wait for more. Chat, thank you all for being here. Much love, much appreciation. Before we raid out, one last shout out to our sponsors. I don't know if you knew this or not, but you can get yourself a custom DMDM Studios dice case by going to ko-fi.com/theshadysale. And if you use our handy sponsor code RPGINN at checkout, that is RPGN, you will get 10% off of that dice case. They are beautiful. They absorb sunlight. They hold a full dice of 7, and I don't know why I said it in this order, but they also glow in the dark. Should have said the... Okay. Well, I love you guys. We're going to be raiding into Rolling Thundiga, so thank you again for sticking around. I will see you on Friday for Death Watch, Darker Stars, run by Souls Rolls. Fantastic game. Cannot wait for more of that. Saturday, Booty at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then on next Wednesday will be the next time that I'll be live with Kill Team Last Bastion. So thank you guys for being here. I love you. I appreciate you, and I will see you very soon. Bye.
Peace, Voyagers.